I still needed to make contact with somebody here on the inside, though, so I had something to report. I got to the door, which swung inward to where I was once again. Then I got overcome in thought for a moment on how to proceed. I was still technically on the basement level. Controls for this level's garage door were up one level on the lobby level at the guard station. I needed to find out if the virus or whatever it was contagious still. Then I needed to get the team inside if it wasn't. And I needed to do this without compromising myself. It was time to start blending in. Instead of going full tactical, I let my AR hang down one more time and brought out 2 other things from my backpack everyone dreaded far worse. My Gen 2 tactical pen and write-in wherever notebook. Then I folded up my rifle, making sure the safety was on, and stuffed it in my pack. I put my pen in my pocket, using the clip to make sure I could grab it, and put my notebook under my left arm. Chapter 7. Basement Offices. The solid aircraft aluminum chassis of the smartly chiseled pen helped me feel both smart and confident. The tungsten carbide pen tip of the pen helped me feel well enough defended in CQC without my sidearm close by. I patted my pen and nodded to my clipboard, and I was ready. Sure that I heard no one in the other room, I mustered as much confidence as I could and turned the doorknob. I felt the mechanism's pieces turn in my hand as each spring pulled into place and stopped as soon as I felt the latch move enough for me to open the door. I then slowly released the doorknob the other direction to let the internal springs slowly move back into place. I opened the door in a slow and deliberate motion and moved my hand to the other side of the knob, where I repeated the same turn from memory. As I moved, the door moved with me, and I stopped just before the door would close and let it slowly and quietly close behind me. When I felt the door touch the frame, I slowly let the doorknob go a final time as the springs released back to where they rested. I didn't have much time. I needed to find someone to get a situation report, then needed to get up one floor to the guard station. With my pen in my right hand and my notebook in my left, I set out to find some people to talk to. I walked past a few darkened rooms that looked like they had ultraviolet lights in them, then came to a room with what looked like a small chemistry laboratory. There were some scientist-type people in here working that had total tunnel vision. I wasn't really careful until they weren't holding anything. I was really careful until they weren't holding anything. Then politely and softly said out loud, "Knock, knock." This, of course, made them all jump. They were all saying things at the same time, but then I took 2 steps forward and began talking over them. "Listen to me," I said authoritatively. "I'm conducting a quick security assessment, and I need all of your cooperation. I will be out of your hair in just a minute, so you can get back to what you're doing. Do you all understand?" The one that was most likely the unofficial leader said, as if to correct me, "Well, do you understand that you are in a quarantined area and ignored all the signs, and you are now infected?" I responded, "Of course I understand that. I'm down here, aren't I? I still have to do my security assessment to make sure everything's okay." They thought this was really strange. I didn't remember seeing any quarantine signs, but the door had been unlocked. I tried to think back if I remembered seeing anything on the door saying not to come in. I forgot to look. Was it a yellow triangle or a circle? I can't remember any of that stuff. Or was it nuclear or biohazard? Wasn't this chemical? I can't remember. Anyway, I just had to play it cool and confident. Okay, so I just have a few questions, then I can go back upstairs. And I do apologize for interrupting. Has anyone been harassing you lately? I need to ask, you know. This got more weird facial expressions from them than the leader commenting in a musing tone to one of his coworkers. How has he not fallen over vomiting and white froth coming from every orifice yet? He spoke in a mildly curious tone, as if this was a normal thing and purely medical with no emotion. "I don't know," responded another, more curious than anything. "Great," I thought sarcastically, as almost bored to myself. Scientists have such a weird sense of humor. I continued to try to keep my momentum up. "So anyway, guys, I just need to know what the situation is, if anyone's been bothering or harassing you all when you're trying to get your work done. Has everything been okay down here?" They responded with, "Everything's been fine, but we've been stuck out down here for days now. There were a bunch of guys that tried to take over while we were trying to cure this advanced Urtica diosea toxin. We got a bunch of them infected with it on accident when they came down here and wouldn't listen to us. Weird how nobody listens to us, another one said with a dry tone, as if they get no respect and are basically completely ignored. I had a feeling at this point if they'd been getting harassed, they didn't tell the bad guys about the virus stuff on purpose, as if to let Darwin sort it out or something. Sorry, I replied. I tried to sound as genuine as possible, though I was more sorry for their predicament than their various laments. The leader continued, annoyed that his colleagues and I kept interrupting. It's all right. You don't seem like one of them. That's why we weren't worried about anyone getting in anymore. We know people could technically come down here to bother us, but they would promptly become severely ill and have to get rushed right up to the hospital up on level 5. I looked at my watch, only 5 minutes left before I had to make contact. I had so many questions, but they would have to wait, so I tried to cram in as many questions as I can and completely forego the act. Trying to pretend like I was doing a security review obviously wasn't adding value. I spoke as authoritatively as possible anyway, without trying to come off as a jerk, but still urgent. Guys, you're just gonna have to trust me. I need to know a few things really quick. How many guys are there? Where are they? What do they want? Can you tell me anything that will help me recover this building for you? They looked at me and saw the thoughts going through my mind. Then the leader spoke as if I was a necessary result to an equation. In helping me, though, he knew I could cause more problems, potentially, but it was a choice of crappy options in me. You can't very well be going around shooting the place up, and they certainly aren't going to see you and suddenly surrender. I'm sure you're good, but you're not that good. He didn't say it in a condescending way, but I didn't exactly look like Special Forces or anything, and I wasn't Special Forces anyway. I had some small advantages, but they would run out quick against a well-trained 12-man team that had trained together before. The lead scientist continued regardless of my pride. There are a lot of innocents here too, so we may have another idea. Take it or leave it. The words hung in the air, and the thought trailed off as they all nodded. It was like this had been at least partially planned well before I got here. Maybe I would be the catalyst the scientists needed to throw a kink in the Merc's plans. One scientist went and got a spare lab coat, while another took my backpack. The other returned and put a lab coat over me. It fit pretty well and covered up everything from my neck down to my boots. The scientists then gave me a funny look because I still had my mic and my hat on. I gave my hat to them and they tucked it in my bag for me. Seeing my rifle for the first time, he zipped the bag up and tried to push the thought away. I saw him see the rifle and our eyes connected, a lifetime of consequences suppressed into a single choice to let it go and move on. I pushed my mic around my neck, down enough to where it couldn't be seen, and hung my ear down to the side under the lab coat. I could talk, or they could hear what was going on as a last resort. I only wouldn't be able to hear, so I had to hurry. Then one said, "Here, take this," and it sounded as if he wanted to be helpful. Another, in response to the prompt of his counterpart, brought out a tiny green squirt gun and handed it to me carefully. It looked like the squirt bottles that replaced gun emotes on chat programs when social media started taking a huge swing to the left. If you can get close enough to them, squirt this anywhere on their skin. They won't like it. He took the bottle and primed it by squirting it into the sink a few times, then handed it back. One of them chuckled quietly under his breath at the dry humor. He got an elbow from his counterpart, and he turned and shrugged like, "What? They deserve this." The leader spoke calmly, as if this had no more importance than groceries to get at the store. "There will be 3 to 4 of them up on the first floor. Then radio to us, and we'll come down and fill you in some more and bring your bag up to you. There is a comm station at their guard desk. We'll take you to the stairs. The rest is up to you." He nodded, and I nodded back. I put the squirt gun in my pocket and felt the gravity of the thick liquid sloshing around in it. Then I took my notebook and my pen and followed them quickly to another set of stairs. They walked me to the stairs and said, "They won't know you from the rest of us, at least for a few seconds. Just use the same spiel on them and give them each a good squirt, then buzz us up. You'll know 'em when you see 'em." With only a minute left to come in, I thanked them as they opened the door for me. And then I went up to a double flight of stairs, up to the main floor.